G'day everybody, Chris Farhi here from the Bayleys Insights and Data team. We've got Ankur Dakwale to talk about the biggest news in New Zealand real estate. Now, definitely not at Bayleys HQ today. So Ankur, whereabouts are we?
Yeah, so we are in a much fancier location than our Bayleys HQ. So this is 24 Half Moon Rise in Half Moon Bay, Auckland. This is an exceptional one-of-a-kind house, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, refurbished to the highest standard. It's got expansive views over Half Moon Bay Marina and out to Rangitoto Island as well. So if you want to learn more about this, please get in touch with Lawrence Liu or Jenny Benoit from Bayleys in Howick. So first up, we have the Reserve Bank of New Zealand that launched their Financial Stability Review for November in 2022. This covers some stuff that we already know that's happening, such as inflation and rising interest rates that are adding more risk to the global economy. In New Zealand, we expect the softening housing prices will lead to less consumption next year. Businesses are generally doing okay due to the low debt, and the New Zealand financial system is well placed at the moment.
Yeah, pretty interesting as well in the context of the latest employment data. So overall, the New Zealand employment market's very, very strong at the moment. And I think in my mind, this is starting to push more factors towards wage inflation next year. So we'll be interested to see how that tracks through into the housing market as that wage inflation really kicks in. Next up, we've got further stats that show the big move towards multi-unit housing in New Zealand. And so the latest building consent stats show that there were just under 51,000 homes consented over the 12 months to September, and that was about 7% up on the prior 12-month period. Within that consenting data, multi-unit homes, so this is townhouses, apartments, retirement units and flats, accounted for around 55% of the units consented, and so this is up from 46% on the same period last year. And so these stats obviously demonstrate the pivot towards multi-unit housing that we're seeing across the development sector in New Zealand.
Now, there are indications that reforms coming to the Resource Management Act and will be introduced before the end of 2022. Coverage by stuff.co.nz and some comments by the Prime Minister show that RMA reform bill is expected to be introduced in the Parliament in the coming weeks. Now, the Resource Management Act has historically been blamed for pushing up house prices. Now, an interesting fact that was in this article was that Infracom estimates about $1.3 billion per year are spent on resource consent. It's around 5% of project costs. Overseas, these are around 0.1% to 5%, so this is coming from the UK and European markets. So it shows that in New Zealand, we're kind of at the higher end of it at the 5% mark.
So next up, the Bayleys Commercial team released their latest total property sales snapshots and case studies. And so a couple of interesting examples in here just to give you a sense of where the commercial property market is currently sitting. So first off, we have Ground Bar 18 Constellation Drive in Albany in Auckland. So this is a 462 square metre retail property on a corner site, leased to international tenant with 7 years remaining. This one sold for 2.7 mil on a 5.26% yield. That was Jane McKee, Tanya Robertson and Matt Mimic from the Bayleys Commercial team on that one. Second example is Lot 57, Te Kowhai East Road in Te Rapa in Waikato. And so this is a 7,972 square metre section of prime industrial land. This one sold under the hammer at auction for $3.67 million, or about $460 per square metre, so it's a good outcome on that one. That was Jordan Metcalf, Rebecca Bruce from the Bayleys Commercial team. And then finally, we've got 19 Lodestar Avenue in Wigram in Christchurch. And so this is a 3,499 square metre prime industrial facility, a brand new 7-year lease. This one sold for $8.4 million on a 5.58% yield. Now, Scott Campbell, Nico Stike and Tom Davison from the Bayleys Commercial team. So some good examples there, and if you want some more data, we'll chuck some links in the description.
Next up, we have the government launching a support package of $55 million to support new homes in Te Taitokerau. Now, the government has announced this package to build safe, healthy and affordable homes in Northland. The $55 million will go towards 80 to 100 new homes, infrastructure work for 110 sites and other project costs involved as well. This is part of government's $730 million strategy for Māori to deliver 1,000 new homes, repairs and maintenance to 700 homes, and infrastructure support for about 2,700 homes as well.
Next up, the green light's been given for a green hydrogen plant in Kapuni. So the project involves 4 206-metre wind turbines being built with a value of around $70 million. And so these turbines will power the Balance ammonia urea manufacturing plant, and specifically a facility that will be used to split water into hydrogen and oxygen. And then the intention is to use those as fuels for commercial and heavy transport. And so a little bit of a science lesson there, but basically a cool opportunity to use a green power source to, I guess, also future-proof it for some sustainable transport methods.
Now moving overseas, Bayleys global partner Knight Frank has launched their active capital report for 2022. Now this is looking at trends in the capital market space at a global level, and the things they are looking at is the macro headwinds that are remaining elevated in 2023. So this is inflation and higher interest rates around the world. The softer global economic outlook, which is favoring innovation-led cities. Core, well-located and ESG accredited assets will continue to perform well, as we've seen in New Zealand as well. Now, previous cycles tend to show that the investors will shift to their local markets. There'll be excessive private capital, and there'll be very individual deal-specific transactions going on.
Next up, Knight Frank has also released their latest Hong Kong industrial summary. And so what we're seeing in Hong Kong at the moment is strong leasing activity in the industrial space and a lot of rental growth for modern industrial buildings. And so within their market, they're seeing a number of large industrial transactions occurring. The market's generally been supported by low vacancy rates, which are sitting somewhere between 2 to 3% across Hong Kong. Interesting because, for New Zealand, particularly Auckland and Wellington, vacancy rates currently sitting below 1%.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yep.
Yeah, so just shows how tight some of the markets are getting, but also in comparison how tight our markets are. And then finally, we've got our property of the week. And I was going to say a couple of words about this property, but we've actually got Jenny and Lawrence from the team on site right now. So Jenny, did you want to say a couple of words?
Hi, yeah, I'd love to. This has to be one of the finest homes that Lawrence and I have ever had the privilege to market, offering elevated living, views right across the marina out to Rangitoto. But the home is exceptional, and the vendors spent the last 2 years doing luxurious fixtures and fittings throughout. And the lovely opportunity here is that all that you see, all the furnishings, high-end, most of them imported, are going to be part and parcel of the purchase price. So if you've got somebody looking for something really, really special, I really suggest that you get them here as quickly as possible, because this is one of a kind in this area, and I think people are going to love it.
Yeah,
so,
it's absolutely beautiful. Like
yeah.
this home is completely stunning. So
yeah.
thanks, Jenny. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Then over to you, Ankur.
Yeah, so my property of the week this week is 129 Adler Drive in Ohauiti, Tauranga. Now this property is the recipient of the Silver Award at the 2022 Master Builders House of the Year. This is built with an array of locally sourced timber, making it very sustainable and designed for family living. This is situated within the Three Creeks estate and close to the Kaitamarako stream. If you want to learn more about this, please get in touch with Cody Mitchell or Carmen Dickerson from Bayleys in Tauranga.
With that said, we'll wrap it up here. So thanks very much to the vendor for this property, along with Lawrence Liu and Jenny Benoit from Bayleys Howard, getting us in here to film in here. Absolutely stunning. Thanks, Ankur.
Thanks, Chris.
And we'll see you next time. Ciao.
See ya.